What up, athletes? Welcome back to my channel. We're back on the east coast of Demerara. That's the seawall. You can see the mangroves have grown very tall, taking over this part of the seawall. We're at Oleander Gardens. This is Oleander Gardens. And I wanted to take a follow-up look at this building. Right, this is a multi-story condominium complex that is being built by Bihari Group. I believe it's one of his daughters that owns this building, Bihari. Bihari, of course, you know, owns or has controlling shares in GBTI and a lot of the locally manufactured condiments like curry powder and spices and so on. So this is Oleander Gardens, and I thought I'd take a look at what's happening here in Oleander Gardens since the last time I was here. It's a old neighborhood, right? It's an old neighborhood. People have actually moved out of here for decades, but they're now returning. I remember this guy who built this building, this condominium at the corner of this street. About 10 years ago, when I returned to Guyana, he was still constructing this building, and I actually visited, took a tour on the inside and looked at rental prices. But now this is a new building, a new condominium being built across the street, right across the street from that old building. Well, it's not old, but it's about 10 years old now. Condominium. This is a new condominium that's being built by Bihari Group, and it's way more finished, closer to being completed than it was the last time I was here. So it is at least, what, 1, 2, 3 floors. So it's 3 stories and a lot of glass, so it's going to be quite light on the inside. It's built a lot more like an office tower than a condominium, but it's actually quite, I think, quite modern in its architecture, right? So it's kind of a modern take on condominiums here in Georgetown. It looks as if it's going to have at least, what, judging from the balconies, right? Judging from the number of balconies, there are about 4 of them on these 2 levels, right? 4 balconies on these 2 levels. So, and 4 in front, so at least 8 condominium units, and maybe another 4 on the ground floor, so at least 12, I suppose. Just from the architecture, at least 8 on the middle and the upper floors, and 4 on the ground floor, or maybe less, I don't know. But that's what it looks like. But this is in fact what the new condominium complexes look like in this neighborhood, Oleander Gardens. It's right next door to well, actually this might be Industry, right next door to Industry and Ogle up the road. That's also another hotel, I believe also owned by Bihari Group, and a condominium in the background. You can see there another condominium complex going up. Isn't quite completed yet, but going. Here are some guard dogs welcoming us. Assembly point. Okay, so this is another, I think the last time we were here, this hotel and condominium was already completed. I don't think we actually took a close look at it, but it is at least 2 units, and you can see behind another multi-story condominium being built, perhaps by the same owner. I haven't really investigated carefully yet.
Distance 5 miles. Duration 1 hour 12 minutes 23 seconds. Pace 18 minutes 2 seconds per mile. 747 kilocalories burned.
So guys, yes, this is Industry next door to Oleander Gardens, and a number of condominiums going up in this neck of the woods. Like I said, this one being built, in fact was constructed, I think by the Bihari group. It's a hotel. And this new building, which you actually can't really see from the road, is another condominium, much larger condominium complex, or perhaps a hotel. It's being built here in Industry. That's the backside of that Bihari hotel we just passed. It's actually two individual buildings, with what seems like at least 4, 6, 8, 10, 20 units on the upper two floors. And the new building seems as if it's going to be 4 floors, or 4.5 floors, right? 4.5 floors of living space, and it's going to be a number of units. Let's see, it's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, well, judging from the windows, a number of windows, I would say at least 24, maybe 24 units, right? 24 units in this new condominium here in Industry. It's certainly a lot closer to being completed, right? This is Industry. It's a new neighborhood. Well, not new, it's an old neighborhood. Judging from the architecture, you can see that it's being revitalized. In other words, people have come back in and are building now newer, modern housing units. So I would say this is actually quite close to completion. I would say within another 6 months to a year they should be completed if they keep working on it. But it's the 1, 2, 3, 4 floors, right? It's 4 stories. It's a 4-story building with a roof deck, a roof garden, it seems. So guys, this is what's happening here in Industry, right? Industry on the east coast of Demerara. And a lot of it is, I would say, quite recent, like within the last decade. A lot of the modernization of this neighborhood has taken place within the last decade. A number of people have returned and built retirement homes, or certainly the kind of homes that they might have admired or lived in North America, where the architecture hails from, the new architecture. So guys, so those of you who've been watching the developments in Guyana from abroad and wondering if you should come back, or if you can come back, if you do have the means, the money to come back and build, there is lots of room for you. And this is the kind of three dogs, the kind of homes that people have built within the last few years. I think this one was actually being constructed during the pandemic. Right, this home is being constructed during the pandemic. You could see that one from the, in other words, this home you could see from the road, Rupert Craig Highway. Now that it is completed, you can see it also from the Rupert Craig Highway. This is also sort of completed recently. These, of course, built earlier, within like 20 years ago or so. And like I said, the one at the corner was built, I think, was 10 years, 13 years perhaps. It was just being completed when I came back. 10 years ago to Guyana. This building, I think, was also here for a long time, been in this neighborhood probably since its inception, which means probably in the 80s. But here's the building we came in to see. It's the new condominium being built here in industry by the Harry company. And there we came in from Rupert Craig Highway. That's the entrance to the neighborhood. And this is what they've completed so far. It's quite good. They seem to have a lot of open space on the ground floor, I guess for parking, maybe a carport, and parking space outside of the wall. Hey, what's happening? It's the dog welcoming us to the neighbor. Say hi to my subscribers. Dog welcoming us to the neighborhood. Here we go. Two of them actually. Hey guys. So this is what's happening in this neighborhood, guys. Like I said, for those of you who are living in the US and Canada and considering coming back. Oh yeah, this is another house. I think this one was renovated recently too in the last 10 years. I think it's one of the places I considered renting when I first came back, because I came all the way out here looking for rental places. Right, so this is the kind of thing you can build if you're living in North America and you're thinking about coming back to Guyana, wondering about, you know, whether you can continue to live there with all the political uncertainties and changing climate change, winters and summers and the winters and the summers and the harsher hurricanes and storms and so on. This is one of the neighborhoods that is still growing, developing, gives you an idea of what Guyanese, returning Guyanese and locals are doing in terms of housing, building, transforming their neighborhoods, this one being industry. Right, some of these houses, for example, this one built perhaps in the 80s, and maybe the owners migrated for a while, but I'm sure as soon as people start to see, you know, what their neighbors are doing here after they've left, I'm pretty sure they're going to come back and rebuild bigger and better than they left. And some of these lots are actually quite larger than the ones in the city limits. And so there's a possibility of building your dream home, you know, whether it's 5,000 square feet, 10,000 square feet, whatever it is your preference. There's another one that's going up, another new building just starting construction. Starting construction here in industry. And as you can see, pretty large footprint. Right, pretty large footprint on this one. We've maintained or retained traditional Guyanese architecture. This house on stilts, but converted it entirely to concrete and made it larger in terms of square footage. But here's an original home. So I'm pretty sure this gives you an idea of what is possible, what people are doing who've returned to Guyana and who are building in the modern era. Right, a new age. Here's another empty lot that's going to be prepared for construction. This one being another multi-unit perhaps condominium, or at least two buildings in the block. This is called Maglin Apartments, right? Maglin Apartments. So even those of you who are looking for rentals or places to rent, here you are. Here are your options in industry. Alright, we went down there, we saw the Bahari Group, Bahari Company's hotel. Let's exit the neighborhood through the next street, and I'll show you. The new construction on the way out in Oleander Gardens. So guys, this is what's happening here in Oleander Gardens on the east coast of Demerara. This is Maglin Suites. Another rental, I think both of them actually. One a modern and more tradition, and the second a more traditional apartment condominium block. Alright, so both of these condominiums are available for rent, and I'm pretty sure this is probably being developed by the same or similar owners building new housing units in this neighborhood. So let's exit through the next street. So we can exit through this street. But yes guys, so that's what's happening here in Guyana. For those of you who are looking at returning, looking for places to rent, or looking for places to buy, or looking for places to build, and wondering what can be built, this gives you an idea of what a lot of returning nationals, Guyanese nationals are building in Guyana once they've returned. In this case, Oleander Gardens and industry. So let's exit the neighborhood through this street in Oleander Gardens. So here is, I think we did actually walk down this street before. You can see that's the back of Maglin Apartments, the one we just passed. Here on, I think it's Sugrim Road, as I recall. And these are some of the original houses and new houses being built here on this Sugrim Road in Oleander Gardens. So that's what's happening, guys. That's what's happening on the east coast of Demerara in terms of new developments in this neighborhood. And for those of you who are looking for examples of what people are doing as far as housing, this video gives you that. If you want to see more content like this, click like and subscribe. In the comments below, tell me what you think about the new housing developments here on the east coast of Demerara, here in Oleander Gardens. This is in fact a company being run out of residential neighborhood. Probably rents earth moving equipment. So people are actually doing business also in these neighborhoods, which of course brings into question things like zoning. But share this video with friends and family around the world. In the comments below, tell me what you think about new developments in industry, right? So that's where we just came from, industry. And this next neighborhood, which we'll see perhaps in future videos, is Ogle. Share this video with friends and family around the world. Show people what's happening in the industry and Oleander Gardens here on the east coast of Demerara, and let people know what's happening here in the fastest growing country in the world, Guyana. Later!